وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى وبعد. Before we'll inshallah complete the text, I had a beautiful conversation with some of the brothers in here, and he made very beautiful points about the ayats. So he said that if we don't know the meaning of some kind of ayats, then why do we need them in our Quran? Why Allah sent that kind of ayat which we don't understand? I mean, it's a logic question. What do you think? Yeah. If we don't understand, then why He sends it to us? So it's the same as you would order your son to fly. It's not logic. It proves only one thing, that you're stupid. Am I right? If you will order your son to fly, or otherwise you will punch him. So it doesn't prove that your kid is not strong enough to fly. It proves only one thing, that you're stupid. Is it right? Yes. So the logic conclusion is, the logic question is, if there is some ayahs in Quran which we don't understand, then why Allah sends that kind of ayahs to us? And mashallah, it's very beautiful like a point, because even most of our Salafi brothers, they say, because when we say there is no meaning and there is no description, then they say, so does it mean that Allah talks to us with using some words which we don't understand? Can it be? Yes, of course, it can be. Why? Alif Lam Mim, what does it mean? So if he says that, then it means that it can be. So logically, it cannot be, but we don't care about logically. It's in Quran, it is there. And also, just to give you more convincing point is, the people are two kinds. The one kind, they are more about body enjoyment, So for example, drinking, eating, for example, the married things, So the task for that kind of people is to forbid them from some kind of delicious foods, pig, for example, or delicious, for example, drinks. Well, I don't know if it's delicious or not, alcohol. So the people with body body enjoyment wise people. But there are different kind of people also who are more enjoying not by body, by their intellect. So to test them, if you will say do not commit zina, before we said it, they wasn't doing it because they don't enjoy. So what is the test for them? The test for them is to stop them from some kind of knowledge. Why? Because they want to know, they want to discover what's in there. Just, I'm dying, I want to know what is in there, I do remember, there is, do you know pyramids? So there is some way, basically, they discovered some, a small way, So it takes very long corridor, and then, it's not straight. It goes different sides, and at the end, there is stone. There is nothing in there. So there is two arguments. The first is, it's just end of the corridor. But the second thing, the people who made that beautiful, that so complicated, building named pyramid, they're not stupid to make only corridor, but there is nothing in there. It's a beautiful argument, isn't it? So they're saying there has to be something behind that, basically, the block. Even some of the scholars, he suggested to just blow it up to find out what is behind that. Because it's impossible, the people who made that kind of brilliant building to make corridor, but just for fun. Just to mess people about, It never can be. So even after reading that, that book, I was so, so excited to find out. I was very sorry that they didn't blow that up to find out what is behind, Sometimes you enjoy by discovering things. So the ayat which we have got in Quran, mutashabihat, it is test for that kind of people to stop them from some kind of knowledge. Did you understand? So they want to think about it. How does Allah look like? How we will see Him? How? And to stop them from that kind of enjoyment, intellectual you can say, delicious maybe food for them. So that is a very great test for that kind of people. And also I mentioned to the brother, like word of Einstein, but I don't remember the exact word, but the meaning was, he said that I want to know how God thinks. I want to know what does he think? How does he think? When he creates the thing, I want to know what does he think? Did you understand? So it makes that kind of people to think about that kind of thing. So if you will forbid them from some certain kind of knowledge, it will be a very great test for them. Do not pass this basically border, or otherwise you will be punished. Don't go to this knowledge and don't think about it even, or otherwise you will be punished. So that is why we do have some certain kind of ayats which is not possible to understand. There is beautiful hadith from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. He says, this hadith is basically in Nasikh wal Mansukh of Abu Ubaid ibn Salam. Abu Ubaid ibn Salam. It's a very famous scholar in the time of Imam Shafi'i. So he says, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu says, that in Quran we have got some certain ayats which is explanation was before Rasulullah ﷺ passed away. Okay? So for example, what Allah says, so for example, Allah says, لَتَدْخُلُنَّ الْمَسْجِدَ الْحَرَامَ إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهِ. Indeed, you will enter the Masjid al-Haram by being just saved. Okay? Without any fear. It was in the time when there were battles, between Muslims and non-Muslims. So Allah promised that Muslims will enter Masjid al-Haram once again, without any fear. So its explanation, its proof, it came before Rasulullah ﷺ passed away, isn't it? Then Ibn Abbas carries on, and then he says that, and there is the other kind of ayats, which is explanation came when Rasulullah ﷺ passed away. And there will be there is some ayats, which explanation will come before the last day, and there is some ayats, which is explanation will come after the last day, during the last day. And there is some ayats which explanation will come in paradise or in the hellfire. So it means that not everything which is in Quran we're understanding. But what is the promise? Allah said, لِكُلِّ نَبَإٍ مُسْتَقَرٍ وَسَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ. Indeed, each information which is in Quran, it has got its own place. And indeed, after a certain time, you will find that. So, we are certain that whatever is written in Quran, it is right. It will take a place. It will happen. But when? Some of that will happen now, but some of them after the death, and some of them is after going to the paradise or to the hellfire. May Allah protect us from that. Okay? So, it means that, going back to Salafi Sheikh, can it be that Allah will be speaking to us with the words which we don't understand? Yes, of course. Okay? In reality, Alif Lam Mim, Ha Mim, Ain Sin Qaf, Kaf, Ha Ya, Ain Sod, what are they? That's the first proof. And the second proof is the ayats of mutashabihat ayats, basically. Okay? Just to clarify the point of Abu Ja'far Tahawi. Now, do we have a time? Okay. Then Abu Ja'far Tahawi carries on transmitting from Abu Hanifa. فإن ربنا جل وعلا موصوف بصفات الوحدانية منعوت بنعوت الفردانية ليس بمعناه أحد من البرية. Because indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the sustainer of the creature, He has got the attributes of being oneness. So any attributes He has got, He is alone who has got that kind of attributes. منعوت بنعوت الفردانية ليس بمعناه أحد من البرية. And no one has got the attributes, any of the attributes which He has got. وتعالى الله عن الحدود والغايات والأركان والأعضاء والأدوات لا تحويه الجهات الست كسائر المبتدعات. وتعالى الله عن الحدود والغايات. Indeed, Allah is more bigger, Allah is more greater than to be limited into some limits. Limits, for example, what's his thickness, okay, and what is his, for example, how tall is he, and how, for example, the width or the thickness, okay. So he doesn't have any kind of limits. Did you understand? Well, look, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. Allah has got the most perfect example. But this example, not to explain what Allah is, it's just to explain, just to let us to understand that something could be beyond the limits, which is, for example, meters. For example, how many meters is his height, for example? Did you understand? So for example, again, we'll go back to Mr. McIntosh. Okay, so for example, we have got two softwares in, for example, Microsoft Office, for example. It's Excel and Word. Okay, so it's human being who created that. It's human being who made that. Okay, but to make that, he had to put it into something, into some limits named megabyte, gigabyte, or bytes or bits. Am I right? Okay, so if there is some program, some software, so it has to be some certain megabytes or gigabytes, or otherwise it cannot exist. Am I right? Okay, so now the question, let's suppose that Allah gives, for example, aql, brain, to Excel and Word, and then they are arguing with each other. They are saying, the one who created us, who created him? Bill Gates, I think. I mean, some guy from his group, basically. I don't know who is he. So Allah gave aql to, for example, brain to Word and Excel. And then they started discussing about Bill Gates. So Word said, what do you think? How many gigabytes is Bill Gates, the one who created us? And Word or Excel said, and where is he? Is he in C, or is he in D? Or is he in F or anything else, E, or whatever? Why? Because their existence is in there, and they never can imagine any other existence. Okay? So, and who will reply them? Megabyte and gigabyte is for you. But gigabyte, it doesn't limit me. How many gigabyte am I, for example? What do you think? I mean, it doesn't limit me. Okay? So, I created, for example, Word and Excel, okay? And I made them to follow some terms and conditions. But I, by myself, do not follow that terms and conditions. Meaning, if you will push on enter, I will not disappear. Okay? Or, for example, if you will put on delete, you will not, like, my hand will not disappear, and then it never works like that. That rule and that condition has been created for softwares, which is in the PC. Okay? But the one who created that, the person who made that software, he doesn't follow the rules which he made for his creature, for his product. Okay? But Allah doesn't have any example. So Allah made us to follow something which named meter, liters, kgs, kilograms, but Allah doesn't follow that. Allah's existence is beyond the space. And Allah made important for his creature, if he exists, to be in some place and in some time. Okay? So these two things limits the creature all the time. If something was, so it means that it is past or present or future, or it is right side or left side, somewhere there. But Allah created that for his creature, but he doesn't follow that. So that's why we do believe, as Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, وَتَعَالَى اللَّهُ. Allah is much more greater than to be limited into some kind of limits. Now, you can bring me some argument. You can say, okay, Sheikh, what you are saying is brilliant, but the argument is still there. If Word and Excel, it have to be in megabyte or gigabyte, okay, and you don't follow that limits, but still you follow some kind of limits, which is, even if it's not megabyte and gigabyte, which is meters, liters, or kilograms. Am I right? So it's the same thing with Allah. So if Allah exists, so it's not meters or liters, but it has to be something in there. So what do I say is, yes, this argument applies on me and on PC. Why? Because we have been created, but Allah never been created. So Allah never follows no megabyte and no kilograms. Did you understand? Okay, so that's why Abu Ja'far Tahawi transmits from Abu Hanifa saying, وَتَعَالَى اللَّهُ عَنِ الْحُدُودِ وَالْغَايَاتِ وَالْأَرْكَانِ وَالْأَعْضَاءِ وَالْأَدَوَاتِ لَا تَحْوِيهِ الْجِهَاتُ السِّتْ كَسَائِرِ الْمُبْتَدَعَاتِ. And Allah is much more created to be limited into some limits. وَالْغَايَاتِ وَالْأَرْكَانِ وَالْأَعْضَاءِ. Ghayat basically distance. Wal-arkan is pillars. Rukn basically is the thing which makes you to stand. Okay? So Allah is much more greater than to be limited or to need anything which can limit Him. Wal-a'dha'i, and Allah is much more greater than to have limbs. A'dha means limbs. For example, our limb named hand. The other limb named, for example, leg, shoulder, okay, nose. Okay, so Allah, Abu Ja'far Tahawi says, so Allah is much more greater than to need limbs. Wal adawati, and also to need some kind of equipment or some kind of instruments. Means again the limbs, hands, fingers, to catch something or to break something. Okay, لا تحويه الجهات الست. The 6 directions doesn't limit him also. 6 directions, what are they? Right, left, in front, behind, and 2 others, which is on top and beneath. Okay, so no any of these created directions, no any of them limits God. Why? Because He is the one who created. So, and no any of the creature of Him will limit Him. So, لا تحويه الجهات الست, no any of the 6 directions will limit Him كسائر المبتدعات. It's the same as these directions limit creature. So these directions limit a creature but not God. Did you understand? Well, I think we should stop in here, and inshallah we'll carry on from the next week inshallah by Mi'raj inshallah. If you have any questions, then you can ask.